The Artful Escape is a side-scrolling platformer about a young musician who feels trapped by the reputation of his father and therefore the expectation of him himself as a musician. Visually, the game is striking. It's really, really impressive, the amount of variety and distinct visual differences that they've placed within each area and each level. Every location is filled with interesting and different designs. It's very impressive the amount of variety that they've managed to place within each level. It's very much basically an art student's portfolio brought to life. In terms of the writing, it's very much like Bill and Ted. There's lots of uses of the word like cool and gnarly and all those words that were fashionable back in the early 90s. And certainly when it's combined with the visual aspect, it's like Bill and Ted on overdrive and taken to the extreme, especially combined with the constant use of guitar riffs that is incorporated throughout the game. Now, gameplay-wise, the game, as striking as it is visually, unfortunately, it isn't as creative in the gameplay itself. The gameplay itself is very basic. At the very start of the game, a lot of the gameplay is just quite simply running from left to right. It will then incorporate a couple of jumps, but to be honest, the gameplay doesn't really expand more upon that. Like I say, very early on in the game, there is several segments where you're literally just running from left to right. And yes, there's a lot going on in the background, a lot of visual things to look at. But from a gameplay perspective, there was none. Imagine just running from left to right on Super Mario, not having to jump over any gaps, not encountering any enemies. That's not a game. So I found the fact that the gameplay is so simplistic difficult to overcome as a gamer. There is bosses within the game, but basically the way these are fought is like a slightly more complicated version of Simon Says. The enemy that you verse and lights up different colours in a particular pattern, and then you're expected to repeat that. Even getting it wrong doesn't really have any kind of impact. The game just allows you to make that mistake, repeats the pattern, and allows you to have another go. Overall, I would say it was very much a style over substance experience for me. There is very little gameplay, and what gameplay there is never really becomes challenging and doesn't really change itself up much. Like I say, visually it is superb, but unless you're into striking visuals and listening to the constant sound of guitars shredding, then this game probably really isn't for you. It is short, which is, a good thing in this case, I would suggest. But yeah, if you like the look of it, then you probably will quite like it, because the looks are the strength of this game. So check it out if you like psychedelic imagery and if you like guitar riffs. But if you're looking for any kind of platforming challenge, you're best off looking elsewhere.
Well, that's it. No turning. We must.
I am from the cosmic leader of the infinite.
Mildly, but no more than a fleck.
No.
And we must.
Help?
Your laser show reminds me. Well then, let's dance. fancy for my taste.